Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of the Blackbird Grimoire. Welcome to the daily forecast for Saturday, June 29th, 2024. It is the day of Saturn. We have the waning crescent moon. We are in Cancer season, the Celtic tree month of oak, woodpecker season, and Saturn retrograde begins. And of course, we still are going through Pluto retrograde. Let's get into the details. The sun is in Cancer, cardinal water, representing intuition. The moon is fourth quarter Aries, cardinal fire, representing energy. Mercury is in Cancer, cardinal water, representing hominess. Venus is in Cancer, cardinal water, representing frugality. Mars is in Taurus, fixed earth, representing purpose. Jupiter is in Gemini, mutable air, representing questing. And now we come to Saturn. We begin the day in Pisces, mutable water, representing nostalgia. And then at 2:07 p.m. Central Time, Saturn goes retrograde in Pisces, mutable water, and that is the time for us to begin redefining our dreams, taking a close look at that. And Saturn will remain in retrograde until November 15th, 2024, so we have plenty of time to be doing this. But going on to Uranus, it remains in Taurus, fixed earth, representing renovation. Neptune is in Pisces, mutable water, representing imagination, and Pluto is retrograding in Aquarius, fixed air, meaning that we need to examine intentions. So, for the Saturn retrograde, reevaluate goals, reconsider commitments, reclaim authenticity, and then the Pluto retrograde of reflect, heal, and evolve. And I believe that as we get further into the retrograde season and more planets go retrogrades, we're probably going to be needing its own separate page for what we're going to be doing with the retrograde. So expect that coming in the not too terribly distant future. So the moon phase, we have the waning crescent, and again, that is purge, rest, and meditate. Then for the Aries moon, do be courageous, do brainstorm, do make decisions. Don't get involved in conflict resolution, routine tasks, or sharp objects. Then for the day of Saturn, Saturn is beginning its annual retrograde period. So we have from now until mid-November to pause, to reconsider what we're pursuing and who and what we're involved with and whether or not we are aligned with our true purpose. These are the weighty questions of our life, both past, present, and future. And because Saturn Day is all about consequences, we should be considering the consequences that we have experienced thus far from being on the path that we're on. If we need to make adjustments, this is the ideal time to sort out exactly what those adjustments are and then begin to follow through with them. Now, our tarot for the today is the Five of Mirrors, and it represents forgiveness. So what are your thoughts on the concept of forgiveness? Forgiveness has become almost this, I don't know, this people have this idea in their heads that unless you forgive, you couldn't possibly move on in your life. I don't really think that's true. There's plenty of people and things in my life. It's not that I have forgiven what took place. But it's also not that I hate them or that I think about them. I nothing them. I have been brought to a state of indifference. They are no longer having an impact on my worldview, the decisions I make, who I hang out with, anything like that. It isn't really forgiveness. Forgiveness for me is something that's really very different. It's about a wrong that has been acknowledged and a wrong that is someone is seeking to right. It isn't this one-sided, oh, I forgive you. And the other thing about the people who are very proactive with forgiveness, whether or not it is warranted, they're kind of a little bit goody two-shoes, a little bit holier than thou about it. It's affectatious. It's irritating. I don't really believe that it's genuine. And I think that with all things, especially with something about forgiveness and people genuinely reconciling, it should absolutely be genuine and authentic, something that's real and has substance. So that's just a few of my reflections about forgiveness. I would be very curious about what you happen to take from this particular card, because again, people have a lot of different thoughts on this topic. Now, today's Celtic triad, people notable in three things: a miller in thieving, a preacher in begging, and a boaster in telling lies. So millers, in the old days, they would mill grains, with the old, and so they did face the temptation to help themselves a little bit. People would bring in grains to be milled, and so getting a little bit off the top, taking a little bit for yourself, that was a temptation. And apparently it was one that was given into sufficiently that our ancestors saw fit to even create a triad about it. Then preachers and begging. Professional religious leaders are absolutely notorious for their fundraising efforts and using every hook and crook known to man in order to guilt trip or encourage people to give. That they're going to get some kind of spiritual benefit out of this. Yeah, I mean, of course, these are things to avoid. And for us as pagans, especially if once we start forming more established religious communities and having people who do tend to take the lead in religious proceedings, I think it's very important that we avoid falling into this same trap. People should be hearing something about us other than our need or desire for money. And then boasters. People who boast about things that they saw or said or did or all the rest, they're so well known for the embellishment of stories that I don't really think it requires further comment. We recognize that behavior well enough. We don't have to belabor the point. So, moving on to today's magical intention, it is centered on justice. For this, we have the color blue. The plant is the coltsfoot, which, while it looks similar to a dandelion, it is not the same thing. The animal is the lion, and the crystal is the lapis lazuli. Now, the notion of justice, this is something that is unique to the gods and to human beings. If you might say, this is one of their gifts to us, the fact that we have a mind and a soul that is capable of even approaching the subject of justice and contemplating what it is and how to enact it. It is a difficult thing because so many issues that come out, so many wrongs that need to be righted. There aren't simple, easy answers, and it isn't always possible to undo harm that has taken place. And so deciding, how something should be punished, what the punishment should be, to what degree, how long it lasts, all that. These are very complicated questions, but it is still a gift. This is one of the things that the gods saw fit to give us. So this is something we have in common with them. And so, contemplating justice, it is a worthy thing. Attempting to be just in our actions and our dealings with other people, that is a trait of nobility. So there's a lot involved with this. Now, for today's pagan practice, Saturdays, we honor magical deities. It's a good day to work on your crown chakra, to learn about your Saturn sign. Also, it's a good day to meditate and to make offerings, especially if you're making offerings outside. Of all times to have an outdoor altar, it would be during the good weather. And of course, tidy your altar, whether it's one in your kitchen, whether it's in your bedroom, your living room, over a fireplace, outside somewhere, wherever your altar is. If you have multiple altars, just make them presentable. And then last for today, our journal prompt. A very personal question. What is the next step in your spiritual journey? And I found this picture of this young lady going through this path in the forest. The trees are on either side, and she's kind of going over this path where there's lots of roots, lots of trip ups, but she's going forward and she's going into that light of an increased understanding. So, what is that place for you? What does that represent for you? And that, of course, that's not an answer that you need to give to me or indeed to anybody else, but it is an equivalent question that is very relevant for yourself. So I hope you will at least contemplate that in the privacy of your own thoughts and in your own journal pages. And that is what I have for you guys today. Come back tomorrow for the next edition of the Daily Forecast. We will be sewing up the month of June. And then in July, we will be having a change of aesthetics with our slides. So I hope you'll enjoy that. But that will do it for today. And I will see you guys next time. Bye for now.